Hello, should we get going? There's a few empty seats, so I am assuming that people are gonna creep in and sit down. So if they do, just make room for people as they come in. So just to start with, I want to thank everybody for coming. It's lovely to see you all. Um, the fan engagement strategy that we put out said we were going to have 2 fans forums every year, and we're really determined to make that happen. I just wanted to publicly thank all of the staff, the media team, and Quinny for pulling this together, especially of an evening. So thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. So the structure of tonight is going to be, we got all of the questions in through the website. So I'm going to answer any that fell directly within my remit. So I think there's 6 or 7 questions there. And then we're going to hand over, and Punjab Warriors and the club are going to answer the rest of the questions. So it's just a reassurance from me to you. That we've not removed any questions. Any question that came in with a name attached to it has been and is going to be answered. Any duplicate questions are going to be grouped together, and Quinny's been in charge of the duplication just to make sure that the evening runs smoothly. The fans forum is being recorded, and it's going to go out. It's going to go out tomorrow. Lastly, we have got a lot of questions to get through. I think there's about 50 altogether that came through that aren't duplicates. So we've got 2 hours. There's got to be a break in the middle to get a drink. If there is time at the end to open up to the floor, we will. But we're going to leave that up to Quinny, who's the MC for tonight, and he's going to take charge of making sure that we run to time and what's left. Is that all right with you, Quinny?
That's fine, yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. My pleasure. Over to you.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the questions for Tanya. So there are a few. So the first one is, to date, Tanya, why have you not been appointed as a director using the formal process?
Yeah, and that's a great question, and I think it was Tony that submitted that, so thank you. And I think we covered it on the trust call last time as well. So just being completely transparently, everybody in this room knows that I work in a highly regulated industry, and it's not just as easy as clicking a button and going on Companies House. There's a lot of T's to cross and I's to dot. So that's ongoing, but a reassurance from me to you that I've passed the OADT, so that is done.
What's OADT?
Sorry, the owners and directors test. And the other complication that's come up in the last month or so is I'm about to set up a second business, and it just makes it more complicated from a personal point of view. So you'll all appreciate that I have a business and I have money to earn as well. So it's just doing things in the right order. There's nothing untoward there. It's just for my personal reasons. We'll do that when the time's right, and it should be in the next couple of months.
Thank you for that. There's a couple here from Pat Stowes now. The first one, Tony, is, why is there no one from the football side here to answer questions tonight?
Yeah, it's a good question. When I did the fan engagement strategy, we looked at it as we're going to do 2 every year, 1 focusing on the playing side and 1 focusing on the ownership side, just to make it clearer, or just to make each one have a theme, as it were. We obviously had the Trust podcast in December, where a lot of fans were saying we need to hear more from the ownership. So just from a logical perspective, we thought it made sense this one to be from the ownership. As it says in the fan engagement strategy, and as I always say, my email's out there. If anybody thinks that that's wrong or wants to do things differently, more than happy for suggestions. But it wasn't anything where we said we're not having anybody from the playing side. It was just logically we're having 2. This one's about the ownership, and then the next one will be the other one.
And again from Pat, it's are you going to publicise all the questions submitted tonight?
Yeah. So in terms of publicising the questions, like I said, all of the questions, we got them in. Me and Quinny collated them, so there's nothing been deleted. So in terms of publishing a list of questions, no, we're not going to, but obviously every question's going to get asked and it's being filmed, so effectively every question is going to be in the public domain.
Good stuff. So, one from Chris Edwards. Why has the catering behind the Halo Terrace become substandard? We prided ourselves on producing quality pies, which are now that bad, they're inedible.
Yeah, I don't know if Chris is in the room, so.
Yeah.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah, that's probably the bottom of the priorities at the minute, but
Yeah.
It's still a
Yeah,
question,
but
isn't
you
it?
know, the question was asked and we
Yeah.
said that we'd answer all of them, so. So this came up in the trust meeting. I can't remember if it was the last one or the one before. And at that time, I went to the catering staff and was told that there was an issue with how early they're heating the pies before they are then served to you on match day. So as I understood it, that process changed and then the pies improved. So actually, it's probably really good that we've got 80, 100 people here. So I can understand, is there still an issue with the pies, because I felt like we dealt with it just before Christmas. So just as a show of hands, what was the wording? Substandard pie. Was it
Inedible and substandard.
Just as a show of hands, if that is still an issue, I'll take that back to the catering team and make sure we're looking at it again. So just show of hands, who's not happy with the pie quality?
There is that time. Why don't your sales figures show you that? If it's a
Yeah.
decline, then I don't buy the pies anymore because I don't even bother getting them.
Okay.
So
Okay, so from my perspective, the pies, what they were doing with the pies has changed. I will take that back to the relevant team within the club and mention that there has been a significant show of hands that show that hasn't improved. Thank you for raising it.
Probably the most important question tonight, thank you.
I didn't want to say like,
There was actually a question that did get deleted, and it was a joke, and it was, is a Jaffa cake a cake or a biscuit? And I felt like that was just too highbrow for us to deal with this evening.
The next one then. How is the Shrimps Fans Advisory Board, that I know you've been working hard on, how is it going and how will it differ from the Shrimps Trust?
Yeah, a really, really great question. So it's going really well. To answer the first bit, we're at the point where we're interviewing the people that applied. How it differs from the Shrimps Trust is, obviously I was the chair of the trust last year, so I got a feel for what that did do and what that didn't do. The Shrimps Trust represents a phenomenal number of our fan base, which is fantastic. But for me, and the way the leagues are going, is clubs need to have different demographics of people represented and being listened to. I can't see a downside of having more voices being input. Not everybody wants to be a member of the Shrimps Trust, which is, you know, people's prerogative. And we've seen fan advisory boards work really successfully at other clubs, and we think as a club that it's probably going to become mandatory. So when you're given a role as fan engagement director, it then makes sense to look at that as an option. So I don't think the SFAB is going to be perfect from the off, but what it is a starting point of, if this is the way we're going to go anyway, let's start the ball rolling while it's not mandatory, and then we get to a point where it's in place when it is mandatory. And a couple of things have been raised about that. I was just talking to Billy at the back. You know, essentially that board should mainly be fans, but it's really difficult to go from a standing start to have that operate in the way we want it in the future. So we're taking that as a starting point, and I'll work on that, and I'm really looking forward to working on that, and then we'll see where it goes. And as always, thank you to everybody who applied. It is really nice to see some different names on there wanting to get involved and wanting to communicate with the club in a productive fashion.
And is there a timeline for when that will be up and running, do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm meeting everybody here actually on Monday night, and we're going to go through that, and then it was meant to be the middle of February that we had our first meeting, but I've actually booked a holiday, so it'll probably be the last week in February. I'm going to Egypt, so yeah, I'll be in the pyramid, so it'll go back a week.
Good stuff, good stuff. And another one from Chris, non-pie related. What is being done to attract bigger attendances for home games? There's so much potential revenue there to be captured, such as the students from the university, people who work at the power station, and other areas of the area as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And part of my remit is that networking really is inviting people to the club that perhaps don't come here, and then offering them ways to make sure they keep coming back, or to keep meaning that we get new fans. So there was a big section in the fan engagement strategy that kind of listed the people that I was targeting. So we've started that work with like Lancaster and Morecambe Chamber of Commerce, Morecambe Bid. We're doing ticket giveaways, so they can give, say, 50 tickets to their members. They can all come down and try the football, see if they like it. And I've got a long list of people of which, see if they, yeah, thanks, Pat. Yeah, see if they want to suffer. So Lancaster Uni, University of Cumbria, I've had a lot of people invited already down. I think what has probably slowed that down from you guys seeing that visibly happen is obviously we've lost a few resources at the club. I'm working in a voluntary capacity, and there's only so much actual work I can do in terms of getting tickets to people, getting it organised. So that's something I think when I took post 5 months ago I thought would have been quicker, but it's definitely something that I'm working on. And as I said in the fan engagement strategy, if anybody's got any of those contacts, my email's on there. I'd love to welcome them to the club and try and get more people in.
And just time for me, I think, to just mention the great work of the Community Trust and everything that they do to get more fans down here.
Yeah.
From from the veterans, the stuff that Tony does as well, and what they do in schools. Some fantastic work going there. So we should never forget that fantastic work that Stuart and his team do. So
Yeah.
thank you, Stuart.
Thanks, Stuart.
So thank you, Tanya. That's
My pleasure.
your questions there. I'd like to welcome up on stage our CEO, Rupinder Singh. Thank you, Rupinder. Thank you, Tanya.
My pleasure, thank you.
So welcome, Rupinder.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming. Lots and lots of questions for Rupinder.
So yeah,
I think we're about 50 questions, so
a bit unfair, isn't it?
So-
Spread them.
put your seatbelts on, buckle in, and we'll kick off. The first thing I've got to say, Rupinder, is we were expecting Kulji to be here tonight. He's not here, unfortunately. Can you just tell everyone why and how much input, though, he has had into the questions
Yeah, sure.
that we've been received?
Yeah. First of all, guys, listen, thanks everybody for coming in today. And thanks for the staff and the media team, Liam and the guys, and yourself, Quiddy, to line this up. Because when Tanya discussed this quite a while back, the ideology for myself personally was, listen, the quicker we can start sitting with the fans, the better. Irrespective of what the situations are, it's about collectively discussing them, trying to find solutions, and then executing them. Kulji, unfortunately, I got a text last night, a conversation with this morning. He's had to fly out. He's in Europe, and there was on the IT side where his main sort of work is. Unfortunately, there was a meeting that he's had to get to, and he hasn't been able to come here today. But what I can say, for the last 3-4 days, every one of these questions, and again, thanks to Tanya and Quiddy to get them over to us. The questions have come to us. The Punjab Warriors team, myself as the CEO, we've thoroughly gone through every question. And as I said to these guys last night and this morning, there's no way we're looking at shying away from any question whatsoever. You know, even the Jaffa Cake one, I've got an answer. But anyway.
Good stuff. Thank you. So there's lots of questions. They're in a bit of a random order, but we will ask all the questions and let you know who's asked the question as well. So we'll start off with one from Tyler Carter. Are there any plans to build a training facility? And if so, what locations have been looked at? What progress has been made in terms of planning and applications? Additionally, would the training facility be something of a hub for the community, as something like Fleetwood Town's Poolfoot Farm?
Yeah, brilliant question there. And it is something I have discussed in various meetings, in various presentations with various people, where we've had talks with the local council, the Chamber of Commerce, and Eden Project people as well, literally on the basis that there is definitely a 3 to 5 year plan where a specific sort of, hub like this is definitely in the plans. Sites wise, to be honest, we've got quite a lot of space around the stadium. We are looking at other sites as well. Nothing concrete has come yet, but there definitely is an appetite where we are looking to do something like this. A specific, not just for the club, but really for the Morecambe community. So it is going to be something that's then, offered to the community as a whole, and to make sure that it's going to be part and parcel of the club, but it's there for the bigger, wider Morecambe community to use as well. Yeah, I think, being honest again, it's in the pipeline. It's part of a 3 to 5 year plan. I think probably towards the end of this season, early next season, we should hopefully have made some inroads. And again, as we do, we'll best update everybody on where that is and where we're going with it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Mickey Miller's the next question. There's been a severe lack of communication from Punjab Warriors since they took over the club in August. Why is this, and is this going to be something that you look to improve on as well? There's a few similar questions on communication which we can go through as well, but we'll start with Mickey's there.
Yeah, I think, again, guys, listen, we can always improve on everything in life, including communication. And we're more than happy. I personally, myself, I missed the Rochdale game, but I think I've been to every home game. And every home game that I'm at, more than happy to talk to anybody anytime. The staff here, other people, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody about anything anytime. Yeah, I've got no qualms with that. Shrimps Trust, podcast, anything that's been offered to us, more than happy to be part and parcel of it. Yeah, there's always room for improvement. I think Tanya coming on board, the fan engagement stuff, this forum, us sitting here today, I think this is the start of where we want to take it. Yeah, so I don't like disagreeing with people, but I think in the last 4 to 5 weeks, holidays and everything else, personally, I think, I'm not saying we haven't we've communicated, a lot, but we can only communicate what we need to communicate, in a sense, what's happening at the club. There's room for improvement, but again, to finish on that, at any given time, my personal mobile number is everywhere, and I've never ran from that. Anybody's got my number. You want to ring me, you can ring me anytime. Pop in and see me. I'm in the office upstairs. Anybody's got access to it. At match days, I've met a few of you guys. I've met other people. Coming up, going down, half time, everything's there. So, yeah, we can improve on it.
Similar questions really on the line of communication from Neil Roebuck about, as a supporter of over 65 years, communication from the board about the club, and in particular from the manager about players' injuries and new additions to the squad have sunk to a new level of being almost non-existent. So why is that? And again, I'll link this to another question, this one from Michael Hope, that you publicly apologised to supporters and promised better communication, but you've gone silent again. Was that apology genuine, or simply a tactic to quieten fans without any real intention of change?
If it was a tactic to quieten anybody, then I wouldn't be sitting here today. Simple thing is this: with regards players, injuries, new signings, what's happening, stuff like that, everybody's got to understand we're all part and parcel of the same football world. We've got a media team. They are very active. We put everything that is to do with the club on the socials, on everything we possibly can. If it's a case of what we need to be giving more, we can endeavour to try to give more. But realistically, there is so much going on at our football club, on and off the pitch. We can't be airing that to everybody all the time. But as I reiterate again, anybody, and I think Tanya may have mentioned this, anybody that has a specific worry, a specific question, come through the right channels. I'll guarantee you one thing: you get access to myself. I'll sit you down, we'll have a conversation. We might agree to disagree, but at least it will be aired. Yeah, I can't do any more than that.
Thank you, Binder. One from William Cornthwaite. I don't know if William's here. Hi, William. Thank you. Is Morecambe FC losing money? When I have attended hospitality, the numbers have been considerably down from previous years. Are the owners financially prepared for staying in the league and doing what is necessary to get out of this league, or if the unthinkable happens and Morecambe FC are once again relegated?
Yeah, and again, I don't like to reiterate and keep going back to the same thing. the football club's been losing money for a long time. And, you know, I can't say it in any more uncertain terms than this, that the previous ownership, the last 3 years, the ripples are so detrimental, we're still feeling them. Now, again, you guys probably don't see that. You might see little snippets of it. As the CEO, I see it completely. You know, we've had 4 months of every room I go into, every wardrobe I open, there's new things. Things come back from, I had one the other day, a cancellation from sort of early June, you know, £3,000. Somebody's paid it, nobody's bothered to do anything about it, and the gentleman obviously wants his money back. Yeah. So we have a lot of situations, clubs losing money. There's, you know, I think we put it on record previously, the Punjab Warriors, before they came in the region of nearly £200,000 a month was being put in towards the club just to keep the club afloat. Now, if the club was making money, why would they need to put that money in? What we have endeavoured to try to do since we've got here is very simply but very realistically put into action steps that will stop the club losing money. And sometimes not everybody agrees with that. And sometimes people think, well, that's not the way to do it, it's another way to do it. We can only try to do what we think is best at the time. The biggest sort of concern for the club losing money, believe me, I'm the CEO, but the Punjab Warriors as an ownership, the biggest concern is with them, because every sort of 3-4 weeks down the line, they're forking out 200k. You know, so I do believe, and I think when we came into, we believe this, that we have got the means to turn this around. We have got the means to make sure that the club, not overnight, but over a sustained period of time, stops losing money, starts making money, starts investing money in the right areas, the areas that actually on and off the pitch can make a difference to the project as we foresaw it from day one.
Thank you. Chris Dixon has asked, what are the plans for the women and girls team?
Yeah, great question. Again, with the women's and girls teams, I was very happy to have a couple of meetings with, I think a gentleman called Nick, I can't remember his surname, and
Nick Barrett,
yeah, that's it. He obviously, you know, running it for many, many years, doing amazing jobs with him and, you know, the people around him. Stuart from the foundation, and I know that these guys collectively have done amazing jobs, and long may it continue. With the women's team, about 4 or 5 weeks, or just before Christmas, I think it might have been early December, we all had a sit down of the ownership of the club. We want to get the women's team on par with the men's team. We want to get the women's team, you know, fully sort of focused on having everything equal that the men's team have, you know, from every aspect. And I think the start of it sounds very silly, very small, but we managed to get the women's team, the girls, there's about 200 of them that day. Unfortunately, I wasn't here. Get them out on the pitch and take a big sort of photo together, which was a big achievement. And they loved it, and, you know, they were made up with it. So we want to get the women's team to a professional level. We want to get them where they're not paying for their own travel, they're not paying for washing their own kit and all the rest of it. We want to get them to a level of being professional as the men's team are. The talks are ongoing. Stuart from the foundation, myself, Nick from the representing the women's team. In the next, say, 4 to 6 weeks, we'll be sort of, you know, getting that out to everybody as well, and really getting the women's team on a professional level.
Good stuff, fantastic. Stephen D has asked, do you have any plans for in and around the Mazuma? Some areas are looking run down. Are there any planned improvements?
Yeah, I agree with you there, Stephen. Listen, they are looking a bit run down. And I think, look, there's plans for improvement, there's plans for hopefully adding sort of facilities around the stadium that not only helps on match days, but it actually helps the community. Because as we all know, the club's got roughly 2 matches a month, home games, and we've got 30 odd days in the month. And one of my factors is very, very quickly, as soon as we can, look to use the club's facilities for nearly every day of the month. Yeah, the building itself is amazing. We've got, you know, access to a lot of stuff we can introduce and do. Some of it will not even make any money, but it's about providing a service and getting it used. But also the surrounding area, we've got that lovely bit of grassland near the pub where, you know, it's just all overgrown. We've had plans many times to try and do something with it, and now I think they will come to fruition in the next couple of months where, you know, the first team, the club, the academy, we have to run around to the local college, to the university, stuff like that. We're spending money doing stuff like that. It's not benefiting the community of Morecambe. If we could do something in-house, not only with the first team, the academy and stuff like that be in-house, but more importantly, it will also benefit other people in the community as well. So yeah, we are on that.
Good stuff. There's two questions linked a little bit here from Matthew Gardner and Harry Quinn. The first one's from Matthew. Given our current league position and the challenges we faced recently, what contingency plans do we have in place for both the short and long term? Specifically, are there separate strategies for if we remain in the National League or worst case scenario are relegated? And Harry is, on our current trajectory, Morecambe are due to be relegated to a regional league for the first time in 30 years. Again, what's the contingency plan if this should happen? And what is the threshold for dismissing the manager in order to replace him with somebody experienced and competent?
Experienced and competent.
This is the question, yeah.
Okay, 2 words in 1 sentence. Listen, I'll be honest with you, football, as you know as much as I do, is evolving all the time. Nothing's set in stone. Nobody is guaranteed anything. As an organisation, as the ownership, again, I go back to it, they ploughed in millions to get here. We went on a really crazy journey to get here. You guys, everybody around, the staff, we all went through hell to get here. It wasn't just to get here and have no plans. The plan is very simple. The ideology was to put what we can resource-wise into the club, into the team, into everything to try to get the best success. Football, sometimes there's teams that are promoted, there's teams that are relegated. Our aim at the start of the season still was, being realistic, it's difficult now, was to get promoted back to the EFL. Doesn't look likely now, we know that. But at the same time, we also know, because the situation evolves every single day, not just on 1 result, on 2 results, it revolves every day. The ownership and myself, 24/7, and I can't stress this enough, believe me, 24/7, our attention is on, okay, how can we improve the situation with the results? Be it players, be it the manager, be it the coaching staff, be it the facilities, be it anything, be it new additions, we're on it 24/7. Now, we can't share what we're doing every day with everybody, but I'll tell you now, look, again, I know in the National League there's no window, but the fact that there is a window going on at the moment, we've got 6 to 7 people that we've been quite heavily invested in, heavily involved in the last sort of 5 to 7 days. And ideally, we would have got 1 or 2 over the line before today. Didn't happen. But the ideology is, we know where it's going wrong. You don't need to be the most sort of, educated person in the world to realise if the results are not good, there's only 2 aspects. You've got the players, or you've got the manager and the coaching staff. Yeah, and we're looking at everything all the time. And today I'm sitting here saying this to you. Tomorrow morning it could be a totally different picture, because football evolves on a daily basis. And believe me, all the money and everything else has not been put in so we can get relegated further down. The ideology is to turn it around.
And that links to one from Paul Hodgson, really. What plans do the ownership have in place to take us back to League 1? And League 2, obviously, as well.
League 2 as well.
Paul Hodgson.
Yeah, I think, look, at the end of the day, our aim from day one, before we came in, was simple. Tried to avoid relegation last season. Unfortunately, we didn't get in time. We got relegated. Then it was a very simple case of how do we get straight back up to the EFL. We all know there's about 4 or 5 top teams here who spent a lot of money, and believe me, I've got the figures, spending a lot of money on wages every week. But ironically, until Free Up comes in, there's only 2 of them going up. Yeah, it's a hard league, like every league is these days. We all know it. The standards and the differentials of what used to be this compared to something else have gone. I'll enlighten you today. The buck stops with me on everything, football and non-football. So at the end of the day, believe me, I myself work alongside everybody on the footballing side to make sure that we carry off the strategy. So you've heard it properly now, and it's on recording, so it's going out tomorrow. I can't get back from this. Football and non-football, with regards to this club, as the CEO, stops with myself.
Matthew Gardner asks, is there a commitment to making sure the academy has the best chance of success, and what plans and structures are being put into place to ensure this can happen?
That's a good question again. Academy, I've been involved in quite heavily. The regulatory sort of situations, as you know, when a club gets relegated from the EFL, it has a certain time period. If you don't get back into the EFL, the academy then, things change. We've been working very closely. As you know, Neil, who was the academy manager previously, moved into the coaching staff here. John, who's sort of running it at the moment for ourselves, there is a couple of roles that need filling, which we are working on. The adverts have gone out, and I think there's quite a few that have been interviewed next week through those guys. We're here to make sure we believe in the grassroots, we believe in the locality. I've said this from day one. Punjab Warriors as an ownership will come and go. They're custodians. Yourselves, the fans, the locality, people that live in Morecambe, you will stay. So at the end of the day, it means a lot for us financially, but even more principle based, to see if we can get players out of the academy that we can actually integrate into the first team, saving on the finances, but also getting that local element. So today's time, we will try everything possible to make sure, just like the first team, just like the women's team slowly to come into force, we'll try to give everything we possibly can to the academy to excel.
Thank you for that. There's a couple about the manager now at the minute, Rupinder. One's from Gareth Parker.
Yeah.
And was Ashfield Joe Helsing the best candidate for the manager's job? And did you interview other candidates? And the sort of link to it is something we've seen at the minute is, why doesn't Ashfield show any appreciation to travelling fans after full time? And at what point would Punjab Warriors be prepared to make a change?
Okay, I'll answer all three in a roundabout way. First of all, it's evolving every minute. It's evolving every day. Simple as that. If it happens to the big boys at Premier League, it happens in the lower leagues as well. It happens full stop in football. No manager, no coaching staff is guaranteed. They're there today. I think it was Carlisle last year, January, got some players in. A couple of weeks later, Sparky came in and the next man went out. Yeah, happens all the time. So it's exactly the same at Morecambe Football Club. There's no guarantees for anybody on anything. Yeah, that is being looked at 24/7. With regards, the application, we sat with Ashfield. We sat with, I think, 4 or 5 other candidates. I myself held the interviews alongside the ownership representatives. They started back in May last year, because we were on a promise to be in by June the 7th or whatever it was, yeah. And we carried on having interviews with other candidates as well as Ashfield as well, yeah. We felt at the time, the ownership, myself, and we live and die by it, like other clubs exactly the same. We felt this person was the right man for the job, and given the situation we were in, we thought, okay, it's our job, myself as the CEO, to run the place. Their job as the ownership to help facilitate everything, to try to get Morecambe Football Club where it back in the EFL. So yeah, we felt the manager, every individual coach, even to the fact that Neil was promoted from the academy to the first team. Every decision was taken on the basis that this is the best we feel for our project, for the club, for getting it where we want to take it.
Okay. There's a bit about Ashfield not.
Oh, sorry, yeah,
recognise
about
the away
I missed that.
fans as
Sorry.
well.
Yeah, again, listen, the best I can say on it, stuff like that, is everybody's an individual. You're individuals, I'm an individual, yeah? And individuals, listen, at the end of the day, I've been through a journey and a half in life already, and I've realised one thing. You get anything, you get whatever you put in, that's what you get back. Now, I would say every manager needs to be appreciative, yeah? Fans travel all up and down the country. I believe every fan needs to be appreciative, yeah? To the point that the club was on the brink, it nearly went. Collectively, you guys played the big part. We did the easy thing. But it was a case of, through hard work, we all got across the line. I think everybody needs to help support Morecambe Football Club. If people expect the manager to, make sure he's thankful, I am not on social media, best thing in my life, yeah? But what I hear about and what I see sometimes, about, because we can do it on social media. It's a laugh, bit of banter, yeah. It's not a laugh or a bit of banter when someone's on the receiving end, yeah. And I think everybody, all of us, society as a whole, me included, need to look and think, okay, if I'm taking the piss out of somebody, and then do I have the right to then say, well, hang on a minute, why didn't you come and clap me? Why didn't you say thank you? Why didn't you open the door for me? Maybe it's because, you know what, we're all human beings. Sorry if that's taken wrong, but I've got to say it because that's the way I've tried to live. And you, look, most of you have seen me at the Morecambe, yeah? I'm hard to miss. The reality is, I've always gone out of my way to make sure that yourselves, the fans, are put first. Not just the 80 odd in the room today, but the fans of Morecambe Football Club, every one of you, because it's your club. And without you, it doesn't matter if we win, lose, or draw. We saw what happened in COVID. Without the fans, football isn't football. So I would say, and I did speak to Ash about things over the last 3-4 weeks of certain times of how we could do this, how we could do that. But I also know, because I'm the person that sat with the other, you know, the ownership, people that were running stuff before, even the manager, coaches, stuff like that. And I also know what, listen, if someone's winning, it's lovely. If someone's losing, we expect them to take it on the chin, irrespective of what we say to them. Unfortunately, win, lose, or draw, guys, we're all human beings. You know, it takes a very saintly person to take it on the chin when he's giving his all, he's thinking he's, you know, he's trying his best, but somebody down the line thinks, well, I'm not happy with you. So I would say when you see Ash next on the pitch or wherever, in the nicest way you possibly can, ask him, because I can only speak for myself and stuff like that.
There's a couple more about Ash as well. We said we would
William,
ask every question.
Can I just jump in a quick second there? It's just, yesterday we announced Emerson Sutton was staying. QPR half an hour ago announced that he's gone back to QPR.
Yeah, can I just jump in, Pat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you should answer that, to be honest.
I'm going to do more than answer it, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, I think, guys, look, otherwise we're not going to get done. We can't be just jumping in.
We can't just sit and listen to the scripted stuff all night.
No, please, Pat. The thing is, you're in an honoured position. Not everybody's got your position. So So if we let you jump in, if you jump in, then somebody else might want to jump in. So what I would say, first of all,
I agree with him.
I'm glad you do. Listen to this. With Emerson, we had total clearance from QPR yesterday. That's why we announced it. That, you know what? It's had an amazing result on him personally in his advancement and everything else that we would definitely be able to keep until the end of the season. We get something early this morning and then later on this afternoon to confirm that, you know what, we have to call him back. They've had an injury. They're the parent club. The ironic thing here and the reality here is I was quite surprised and amazed how we managed to get Emerson, because we didn't pay a penny towards it. Yeah, how we managed to get him here in the first place. The fact that you've raised it, ironically, when we were going through the questions, I'd already spoke to Quinny and Tanya about this, and I'd said, whatever happens, I'm going to make sure before I leave today that I put this to everybody, not just 1-2 people.
If you knew about it this afternoon, it should have been out on socials earlier.
Why?
Put it out.
Why, Pat?
Communication.
Yeah. My friend, sorry. I'll tell you what I mean by why. The idea of this forum, so I can sit here, rather than just you seeing it on a screen, I can sit here and I can talk to you about it. That was the idea. Say again, sorry?
It's not about just those that sat here.
And soon as we finish here today, believe it or not, because QPR put it out at 6 o'clock, that's when we put it out. No, we don't need to put it out first. What we need to do.
Put it out that he was staying. So yeah, you should have put it out first.
No, first I'd rather, out of courtesy, speak to the people that have come here, taken the time, share it with you, then put it out. Let's move on if we can.
I think, yeah, what tends to happen, Pat, is when clubs do have these things, they both release things at exactly the same time. And sometimes that doesn't fit in with what everyone wants, but that's...
They gave us the 6 o'clock, but we had the 4
That's the
line.
professional way you do things. And sometimes when you announce pieces of friendly, it ends up going wrong because the lower league clubs often don't follow the same rules. So you'll know we're playing Longridge away on July the 10th before Morecambe put it out, because they're not the professional clubs.
Exactly.
So that is something that does work in that way. It doesn't always fit in with everyone's. So I can probably answer that a little bit, the way media teams work. doesn't always fit what we need to do.
I think, look, Quilly, I've got to say it as it is. Look, I'll be honest with you. I took the decision. We found out about an hour ago they were going to put it at 6 o'clock. I took the decision. We opened the doors at 5:30. I'd rather tell everybody first, then we will put it out. If it was the wrong decision, I live and die by it. But I took that decision.
And again, we said we'd ask every single question that we got, and there's a couple more about Ash here,
Yeah.
so we will ask them. And it's, what is Ash doing to improve the results on the pitch? This is from Harvey Haig. And again, is his job at risk? At which point will his position be in jeopardy? And, you know, kind of comment we made on Ash allegedly telling the fan to shut up a few weeks ago.
I'll try and answer all of them. His job, like everybody's job in football, he's on the line every single day. What's he doing to try and improve the results? Himself, myself, other people that need to be involved, working behind the scenes with trying to get the results that we need. It's the same at every football club. It's not unique just at Morecambe, it's everywhere. And we're doing exactly the same process that every club do. Yeah. With regards telling the fans to shut up, I wasn't there. I haven't seen anything. I don't know what, who the fan is, what they were said. I would say straight away to yourselves though, as a fan, but better than that, being a fan, being a member of Morecambe or being a human being, if someone's being rude to you and someone's disrespected you, please report it to the club. Please take the right channels. And I'll tell you straight now, it will be addressed. When you guys turn up at games and we have the security guys and the stewards and the heads, and they have situations, they go through the system. If people are being a bit offensive or being rude or letting some being a little bit out of order, there's a system, there's a channel, there's a process. I would say the same to you. Rather than me sit or somebody say to you, well, Ash should have done this, Ash should have done. If somebody felt that Ash said that to him and he was well out of order, make a complaint. Let's go through the process. Let's document it. Let's do everything that we should be doing, irrespective of Ash is the manager or he's at a commercial or he works in the bar. That's the process.
Thank you for that, Rupinder. So Tony Brankin has asked, why don't you attend the matches or communicate with supporters? What actions have been taken regarding the team's ongoing losses, your personal connections to Morecambe and the club? Why are you invested, and what you aim to achieve? So what the investment, what's there for, why Morecambe, I think is the question.
I'll try to answer all five in one there. But yeah, like I said, I think I missed Rochdale. I think I've been to every home game. I've been to a couple of away games. I've stood with a few of you on the away end, not in the director's box. Yeah, I've cried when they've scored the other team, and I've laughed and I've jumped up and down when we've scored. Yeah, so I think, me personally, believe me, I love the football. I come to any game I can possibly come to. Yeah, with regards to the ownership, they're in London. I'm in the Midlands, but they're in London. It's very difficult. They've actually been to more away games than home games because of obviously location-wise when the games are sort of nearer those ends. So at the end of the day, believe me, the ownership are hands-on. They put a hell of a lot of money in. It wasn't just to watch it from distance. It was to be hands-on. I'm 3 to 4 days a week here for the last 4 months to be hands-on. Again, midweek games, I'm here. The ideology behind it is we can't let the project suffer just because we fancy being at distance. Yeah, so that's one thing. If people haven't seen us, apologies. If people want to approach me, like I said, at any home game, any away game, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody anytime. And I think the Punjab Warriors ownership, from what I've seen, from what I know, when people have gone up to them, I don't think they've been shy of talking to you, shaking your hand, taking on your views, giving the best answers they can. Yeah. With regards, I can't remember the later part of the question there. Sorry.
About your personal connections to the club, and
Okay.
why the Warriors invested?
Why Punjab Warriors? Okay, again, look, I got involved about 19, 20 months ago, and the Punjab Warriors were literally just starting their sort of talking with the previous ownership and stuff like that. I had a big hand in speaking to the previous ownership. I had a big hand in getting us through the EFL, and we understood one thing: why Morecambe Football Club? Yeah, it was distance from where they are and stuff like that. The idea was they really, and they still do, this is the ironic thing here, yeah? They're fully committed and totally believe that this is a project where you have an amazing club, amazing community, amazing fan base that we can collectively, in time, uplift to a better standard. to a better place. Yeah. So that was the reason. There was 2-3 other clubs that they were looking at. It was prior to me joining, but I know one thing. To me, it was a case of we had many visits here, speaking to the directors that were here previously, and also the previous ownership. We had many visits, and the more that we saw of Morecambe, the more potential, the more we thought, hang on, this is definitely the right club. No other reason. Obviously, that started back in League One, and then League Two. We didn't. I'm not going to lie. We didn't envisage being in the National League. We thought the ideology was League Two, and you build up from there. But it's not a problem. I said this in the podcast with the trust before. If if the worst scenario ever came about and we got relegated, that's not me or the ownership coming to terms with relegation. By the way, yeah, we don't want to get relegated, and we have till the last drop. We'll put in every effort to make sure we're not relegated, because after all, it's their millions and their asset that sinks more than everything. Yeah. Now, in reality, if the worst scenario, and that does come about, they're more than prepared to get the club from that lower league up to this and then going further, because it's still part of the same goal, which is getting back to the EFL in the shortest time possible.
Thank you. And Gareth Parker's got a couple here. I'll link them together.
Yeah.
Please, can you tell us about, this is your business background, I'm going to say the business background of the Warriors probably as a collective, and how it makes the Warriors the correct people to be running the professional football club. You yourself have got a long background of working in football. What is your background of working in football? And Gareth also asks, is the football club being run as a serious club or as a vanity project?
Okay. I've got to laugh. I apologise for laughing. Okay, first of all, I'm telling you, it's damn serious. There's no vanity involved when the ownership have to fork out 200 grand a month. It's hard to be vain then. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. There's no yachts hanging around where they're, in the Mediterranean in the summer or wherever they are. They're in London working. They are businessmen. They are people that have built their businesses, got to a level, saw an opportunity, invested in the club, went through a horrific journey, got sponged out of millions that shouldn't have happened, but they did happen. Yeah, got through all the rigmarole of the EFL, and then to be questioned if it's a vanity project. Yeah, it's definitely not that. You can call it many things. Like I said, 200 quid a month's not easy. 200 grand is bloody hard. Yeah, so it's not a vanity project. Myself, again, I don't know where the quotes come from. I've never said I've got a big background in football. I wish I did. I still think I'm a number 10, but listen, that's me. Yeah, the reality is, I've said from day one, I'm a crazy football fan, 51 years. And the only reason I travel up and down that Poxy M6, because I love the football. Otherwise, I was given a challenge, get us to this place, get us through the EFL, get us here, take it and make it into what it should be. And I'll be honest with you, hands down, I will carry on doing that until the last drop because of the football. If it was cricket, I like cricket, but I don't like it that much, yeah? So at the end of the day, my personal career, my personal sort of life has been financial services, corporate banking. I know how to take businesses and turn them around. I've done it many times with my own self-employed businesses. I've done it many times in organizations, in the right settings. And what I've tried to do here personally for the last 4 months is to make sure we're sowing the seeds for financial stability. Because financial stability is the way forward to get investment into the club, investment into a better a category and caliber of manager, player, whatever you need to take you up that ladder. Yeah, and I'll carry on doing that. People don't sometimes agree with it, but that's sometimes when you need to take a business that's losing a lot of money, you have to take steps to make sure it can't carry on losing money. With regards to the Punjab Warrior side, again, I've heard about this question a million times in the last 18 months. Where's the money from? What businesses they got? What's this? What's this? What's this? Ironically, the EFL, and we weren't even governed by the EFL because we got relegated to the National League. The EFL went to town. They took nearly 8 to 9 months on one simple application, and they went with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that Punjab Warriors, I don't know why they did it to that degree, but they did. Yeah, And what I got told by the gentleman who's the head of the EFL, Trevor Birch, Nick, I can't remember his name, it was literally every case is on its merits. Yeah. So some cases go through quicker, some take a while. Fine. So we went through all that. They left no stone unturned. We then, June 6th, when we got the EFL approval, ironically, June the 7th, we came out of the jurisdiction of the EFL. And that's why we got it on the 6th of June, not 6 weeks earlier. It was a very clever EFL trick. Yeah, I'll be honest. And then suddenly we're in the National League. And the National League are saying this. Obviously, we all know it went belly up till August the 18th, which the National League, especially Steve Brookfield, did an amazing job. Yeah, really helped us get it all through. What I am saying though is the money, the businesses, 1.45 million was put in before the guys had their name over the door. Yeah, it takes a lot to have that kind of grit and commitment. You're not the owners on paper. But Jason and his buddies have taken 1.45 million off you to keep the club afloat, and then you get your name on the door. Yeah, the EFL were flabbergasted when this came out. They could not believe that you'd parted with so much money, and you weren't even, got approval or your name on the door as owners. So look, the ironic thing here is the Punjab Warriors team, 2-3 guys. It's different businesses: IT, construction, healthcare, and they're not just nationwide, they're global businesses. The EFL have made sure that the funds are there. The EFL have made sure that the source of those funds are totally legit and to make sure that they are sufficient to carry the club with the costs that were based on League Two budgets. Yeah. Like I said, I see this so many times. It makes me laugh that when somebody's gone through all the regulatory processes, all the checking and everything else, more than, just like banks do, go through all that, and still people will think, oh, I don't know, I think, well, I've got to doubt where that money's coming from. Sometimes, I don't like saying it, guys, but sometimes I think, hang on, are we seeing a different colour of skin? Are we seeing a different appearance?
No.
Yeah. No, listen, I'm just being honest here, because look, at the end of the day,
I don't think you know Morecambe fans if that's what you're saying, because that's not what we're about.
I agree
We
with you,
judge
my
on
friend.
the field rather than off the field, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
We
no,
judge
no.
what we see.
No, listen, and let me just finish on that. I appreciate your comments, and I didn't mean you specifically, believe me, and I wasn't talking about Morecambe fans. What I'm saying, my friend, is very, very straightforward. Is when we've gone through such a process that's been documented so heavily across everywhere, yeah? It's not like you could not find out if we've got EFL approval. It's not like somebody can't check that we didn't get the National League approval. So when we start questioning sometimes, where's the money coming from? I think it's this, I think it's that. Listen, at the end of the day, then we need to question the National League and the EFL. Because all we can do is go through the processes that they put the organisation through. Apart from the regulatory side of it, like I said, when the club was 200 grand short every month, the directors were here, the staff were here, the owner was somebody else, but Punjab Warriors were paying that money. Apologise if it's been said wrong. I didn't mean it like that. I don't look at a Morecambe fan or anybody, a human being, as being racist. I don't, because I've been very lucky in life. I like I said, you get what you give. So the way I look at it is, you take it on face value, especially in football, because football's a totally different, animal. Sorry, Quinn.
Okay, ask one more question, then we'll have a break. Okay, so there's a couple here, one from Gareth. I'm going to link it to another one from Will Marsh as well. So it's about the head of recruitment. So Gareth is who interviewed and hired the current head of recruitment. And then that links to one from Will Marsh. Do we have a recruitment department, or is it just Patrick? Does our head of recruitment work full time?
Yeah, okay. Again, when the interview process was happening, before we even got the keys to the club, Patrick, as well as 3 to 4 other candidates, were interviewed. Patrick was the best man for the job. Patrick was given the job. Patrick works full time. We're working on, we've got, Patrick's got a couple of freelance consultants that work alongside him. But if we set a team specifically from the club point of view, there isn't one. Yeah. And look, the level of football where we are, with his sources, with his connections, with the freelance consultants that work alongside him, we do cover quite a big range of teams. I mean, again, again, from my point of view, the way I see it, we were in a situation, 4 or 5 days, we needed players, we needed to put a game on, we managed to get the players. The second tranche of players, people like, I'm not just saying one particular player, specifically, but the lad from Arsenal, Maldini, came up. He was on some big wages. Patrick managed to convince Arsenal that, you know what, the club's not in the best position. We need the player. We'll guarantee the playing time. We'll guarantee his advancement, nurture him. They were happy with what we were producing, what the system was showing, and we didn't pay a penny towards those wages. Now, did an amazing job for us. It really hurt when, unfortunately, he was called back. Arsenal's my team, so it hurt me double. But in reality, the fact is, it was amazing that we managed to get somebody like that to come here. Yeah, and that's the recruitment policy all the way through. Players turn up. We all know this. Big names turn up. Sometimes they produce, sometimes they don't. Sometimes somebody does it at another club. They can't do it at a certain club. That's part and parcel of football. But the recruitment side of it, yeah, total faith in who we gave the job to. The team is building. He's got freelance consultants alongside him, and he is full-time.
Thank you, Ravinder. Right, I think it's a good time to take a break. We'll have 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Get yourselves a drink and any rest that you need, and then we'll come back soon. Okay, so Ravinder, the next one is, as the new owners, and now we are in the second half of the season, are you shocked at what it takes to run a football club? Is it a lot harder than you thought? And that's from William Cornthwaite.
That's a question, isn't it? That's an opener for the second half, that is. Listen, I'm not shocked because I've lived a life, but not just running a football club. Anything that, unfortunately, is losing money, anything that, unfortunately, is not getting the results that you need in whatever competition you're in, makes things a lot harder. Yeah? So it's not so much shocked, it's, we've dealt with other situations, I haven't personally in my life, where, getting to this stage, that sort of 6 to 8 weeks gap before we actually, got the key from the previous ownership. I think that's probably the worst time, and we managed to collectively get over that. So it's not shock so much, but it is difficult. Not just running the football club, doing everything, football and sort of on the pitch, off the pitch. We've had a lot going on. With the landscapes changed many times. What we do every time is, we look at the problem, and then work out the best solution, and then carry that forward. So yeah.
And similar sort of line from Richard Allen here. What mistakes would you not repeat if you had the last 6 months to live again? And what would you say has been your biggest success since you came to the club?
Another good question. I think, look, there's always space and always stuff that you do wrong, mistakes-wise. I can't specifically say what we would have done differently. I think we've been led by the circumstances and the landscape changing. I mean, look, we won the first game. If that had carried on for the next 10 games, this would have been a totally different room. So that if is only 2 letters, but it carries a lot of weight. So I can't specifically pull out, any one in particular. We still every day think, okay, this is the problem. How do we come to a solution? Irrespective of what the problem is, be it on the pitch, off the pitch, be it staff, be it financial, be it something else. We still look to, as my role as a CEO, we look to tackle the problems. Yeah. Success-wise, I think, look, the real success is collectively, and you guys have played a big part, the wider community, everybody, is that the club, with its rich history of 105 years, is still afloat. And yeah, we are in the National League, but we are, we're alive and kicking. The only way it really is up, because, at the end of the day, we've got the potential. We're happy to make sure with a 3 to 5 year plan that we do everything possible to fulfill that potential. And it might be a slow journey, and it might be a hard journey, but at least we're alive and kicking to be able to be on that journey. I think that's the biggest success. More to come, obviously.
And again from Richard, little group of questions. We may have touched on it before. What are your plans for the club should we, hopefully not, be relegated?
again, like I said, you know what, absolutely worst scenario, we are relegated. The plans are exactly the same as they are now, that we strive to get ourselves up the ladder, and we strive to make the club financially sustainable. We strive to make the club more actively a part of the community, not just on match days. And we strive to do everything that we set out to do from before we even came in, irrespective of what league we're in. That's the plan, and that hasn't changed, and long may that continue. That's the thing.
Stuff. One here from Paul Carter, but also linked to questions from Jacob Swindlehurst and Hugh Jarvis. About the owners spoke of new strategies when it comes to increasing commercial revenue, and we all know how important that is off the pitch. What strategies have been implemented to improve that commercial growth, and how are we going to oversee, and who is in charge of overseeing those things off the pitch?
On the commercial side and every aspect of the non-footballing side, we're always looking at various different income streams to get money into the club. Because again, it's not rocket science. When you're losing so much money a month, and the ownership are the ones who are putting that money in, you try to, as quickly as possible, reduce that deficit. Yeah. You know, the commercial department at the moment, there's 2 or 3 different sort of schemes that we are trying to roll out. We've been speaking to local businesses, and we want to take it further out to, you know, Lancaster, bigger parts of the northwest. We have over time, once, you know, again, it's about being in a stable position. We're trying to roll it out to nationwide companies as well, where, you know, there's clubs our size, clubs in our league at the moment, who actually do put in bigger brands than we have at the moment. Yeah. And my argument always is, we've been to some of the grounds, seen the facilities, we've got a lot more to offer. Why are we not putting in those bigger brands? On the commercial side, as we know, the vacancy came up a couple of months ago. We've had 4 or 5 different applicants. One of the people, we're actually on a second interview stage, and very, very soon, you know, touch wood, I'm hoping in the next 7 to 10 days we'll be able to announce, you know, that individual as well. But behind the scenes, internally, the staff that are here, who are doing an amazing job in every department, have sort of clubbed together, and the commercial side hasn't gone to any sort of standstill. We are just trying to, look, we're trying to make as much money come into the club in the right way as quick as possible.
One of those linked is from Paul Hughes. I suppose it's linked in a way. Why has the food at the kiosks gone up in price so much?
I've got to say, listen, I haven't looked at the prices on the kiosks, but I know Jodie, who's head of food and beverage, I can speak to her. I think one thing we've got to realise, everybody, food inflation has gone out of the roof everywhere, yeah? And I think the club has to try to keep up with everybody. And yeah, we've got to offer value for money. We've got to offer stuff that is good, you know, it's edible and it's good, and it's, you know, you come back for more. And it's got to be rightly priced as well, yeah? But it's not something that I've specifically, I'm a vegetarian, so I've not delved into it too often, I'll be honest. Yeah.
Okay, so one from Stuart Wright. Why are we waiting around to make signings to improve the squad when we no longer operate in the Football League nor adhere to their transfer windows? If this is because we are signing Football League players, has no consideration been given to established players already operating non-league, players looking to progress up the pyramid, hopefully with Morecambe, versus ones tumbling out of youth football?
Good question. First of all, Stuart, I don't know who you are, but listen, we're not waiting on anybody. We've not been waiting. We've been trying to bring in players from day one. I mean, I think we've brought in quite a lot of players, as you all know. So we are trying, we're always looking. And we're not always looking in the higher leagues or even our league. We've looked at lower leagues as well. Unfortunately, we lost out on, you know, quite a good player a couple of weeks ago. I won't mention his name, but he turned up at Forest Green because the finances were just crazy. You know, we couldn't stop him, and he scored 2 on his debut. And I think he'll carry on bloody scoring, you know. But that's the reality of it. So we know we'd had talks with his agents. We'd spoke to the club. We did everything we possibly could to try and line it up to where we are. But players are players, agents are agents, you know. But it doesn't mean we're waiting on anybody. As I said earlier today, not just because the window's ongoing, there's 5 to 6 that we're close on. Some of the agents, and I'd say 3 or 4 are from the leagues above us, So some of the agents are doing what the agents do, and they're saying to the players, even though we've got sort of agreements with the clubs now, the players to a degree as well, but the agents are saying, look, it's January the 14th. Hold out till the 28th, 29th, and let's see where you're going to go then. We know Morecambe are there. We know they've shown the interest. So it's a cat and mouse kind of situation where we show too much interest, and it's like, well, if nothing else comes that's better, we've always got Morecambe to fall back to. Now, we've made it clear we're not going to be the fallback club. Yeah? We're not going to turn down the people we need, but at the same time, we've put deadlines in place. Early next week, I think we should have done our business whereby we either get the players we want, or, as we're continuously doing already, we look for others. We're not going to be waiting until the 29th of January just because somebody's saying, well, nobody else has come in for me. So I'll tell you what, Morecambe's there, let's just grab their money. Yeah? Guys, I've got to say this is part and parcel of every business. We can't show our hand to these clubs, but at the same time, with the likes of Forest Green, other teams, sometimes we're just blown out of the water. You know, we can't offer the challenge of, you know, we could be in promotion this league in this season. And we're definitely not going to go to the dizzy heights of crazy money every week to people, because we've got to look at the feasibility of, hang on, how's that going to fit in with the players and the structure that we have? Are we going to get value for money for every pound that we're going to give? Yeah. Is that player really going to be the one that changes everything that we need to change? Everything goes into it. But it's an ongoing process.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And I'm going back one about off-field recruitment. What progress has there been in recruiting people into critical off-field roles? That's from Stuart Ray as well.
Yeah, like I said, we've had various roles that came about just naturally. People moved on to other jobs. People, for various reasons, in the last 4 months, there's 3 or 4 roles that were needed to be filled. We're very close on at least 2 of them. The 2 that are, 3 of them really. Head chef Liam, he went a little while back. Graham and his team, who have been covering, have done an amazing job. But we're very close to replacing Liam. Yeah, we've had interviews. We've got somebody who's doing a second interview, so that's going to be close. And again, Jodie, who runs that department, she's the one sort of working alongside myself on that. With regards the head of commercial, we've changed the strategy slightly on that, and what we're doing on that is basically it's a different role, but it's still heading up the same department. That individual hopefully is announced early next week as well. Yeah, we've also looked at Rob, who was the general manager. We'd had talks with Rob before he left, and it was a case of we're going to sort of make the role from general manager to chief operating officer, COO, as is the case in most clubs. Yeah, Rob left, and we've had a couple of applicants on that side as well. Again, I'm quite confident in the next sort of coming weeks we'll have somebody in place for that as well. So again, look, we, head of finance, Oliver, works his notice. He left on Friday. He was going to be here for another 4 weeks, but the job he was going to, he said to me, Rupinder, listen, I've got great chance of career sort of prospects. If I get in there early, it might not be around when I work my notice. And look, like everything in life, we're all human beings. I sat with him and I said, Oliver, if that's the case, then that's what you've got to do. Yeah. Emily, who's come back from maternity a couple of weeks ago, she's up and running on that section, and there's a head of finance that's being looked at as well. So every role, we understand that when we had the horrific sort of 8 weeks in the summer last year, where a lot of the staff were down to sort of bare bones, we understood that, listen, to run an organisation this size, you've got to have the staff. And we've been very lucky with the staff we have got, and we've had previously. We've been blessed. They've been hardworking. They've been the output. Everything's right. And, long may that continue. But we also understand that every department needs the other roles as well. What we're not going to do, like everything in life, is just grab anybody and say, yeah, you'll do. You can sign on the dotted line. Yeah? That's not going to help the bigger picture. We're not going to let anybody, be it staff, players, coaches, myself included, nobody can be in a position where if the productivity and the output isn't there, that you could justify to add into the finances or the financial burden of the club. So yeah, it's in the process. Hopefully be concluded very soon. Quicker the better for us.
And every thank you from me to the staff at the club who've been amazing over the past 2 years. So
Yeah.
every credit to everyone that's here. So I've got a few from Stuart here. As we all know, Stuart, they're quite blunt and to the point. So we might be going a little bit over ground again, Rupinder, but
No worries, no worries.
did you expect the club to be struggling on the field as much as it is at the moment when you took over?
Listen, as a football fan, my friend, Stuart, I don't know who you are. Stuart, you around? Hold on, mate. Listen, as a football fan, none of us ever want our club or expect our club to be struggling on the pitch. Yeah? Everybody wants the results, everybody wants the performances, everybody wants to go into promotion and everything else, cup finals, everything, yeah? We could never have envisaged this. And like I said, I know it was a fairy tale, but after that first game, 90th minute winner, we thought, well, hey, this is going to be too easy. You know, really being honest. But the reality of football is, it changes every day. It changes from the top to the bottom all the way through. I'm more concerned on if the club is struggling or the team is struggling on the pitch, how do we get to the solutions? Practical solutions that can actually make a difference. Yeah?
I think we had a solution, but he was let go, and now he's working at Plymouth.
He is. He's doing a good job. But listen, guys, I'll be honest with you. Having a solution and working out solutions, you can't be put to the gallows for trying something. Yeah? And at the end of the day, if we've tried it and we think, you know what, it's not working, like I said, the guys that are putting the money out of the pocket, they are more worried than anybody on a daily, hourly basis. What do we need to do to get the results to turn around? Yeah, we're a football club at the end of the day. Everything else comes secondary. Yeah, but as a football fan, to answer the question, we looked at it totally different, mate. We thought, hang on, you get in there, you do what you can, you assemble the best team, and then you start winning and you start climbing. Like every ownership and every manager and every player and every football fan does.
And sort of mentioned there from Opie, that one from Stuart again, that why did the owners compare the team's record under Derek Adams' record last season when he was operating one of the lowest budgets in the Football League?
Yeah, it wasn't the owners, it was actually myself. I remember it well. He was on the podcast. Yeah, just something that came to my head because I looked at some statistics of where we were last year, just before Christmas. Yeah, it wasn't a dig at Derek or the budget or league, whatever. It was just a simple thing as a human being that came to my mind. Hang on, this time last year, we're in a very similar position, irrespective of the factors. Yeah. So at the end of the day, we're not basing our strategy on where we were this time last year. It was just something that came to mind because I saw it and I said it. That was it.
Okay. And again from Stuart, what are your plans for the club in the short to medium term? And I think we've spoken a little bit about this. How do you intend to achieve this?
Very simple. I've reiterated everything as I said previously. Short term, we're on it on an hourly, daily basis. How do you improve the club financially off the pitch? How do we improve the club off the pitch with facilities and the community integration? And how do we turn the club around on the pitch with the football? We're on it 24/7. Yeah. Solutions wise, like I said, I can't share them all. We are behind the scenes working on it continuously. And we'll try everything we possibly can. And there's no set limits or set parameters. We'll try everything because the results on the pitch, the facilities and the sustainability off the pitch, that is exactly what the project is about. If we fail in any of those aspects, then believe it or not, the ownership, it affects exactly everything that they set out to do. And in any business, when you're putting in money, you're thinking, well, hang on, why am I not achieving the goals and the objectives? So it's 24/7 being looked at, new strategies, new ideologies, new ways of trying it continuously. You know, and I can just add here as well, through the right system, right process, everybody in the room, everybody out there listening, hearing, Morecambe fans, Morecambe community members, if you've got ideas, put them through the right channels. It's not the right channel, is it? Go on, mate.
Again from Stuart, there's a couple from Stuart more to come. So,
what is the right channel, please? Been referred to 2 or 3 times now.
I'll tell you what we'll do, my friend, with that, right? Because I don't know you personally. I think what we will do is we'll make sure from the club, on the website, on the socials, the right channels for anything that needs to come into the club will be set out nice and clear.
Soon? Is there a time frame on that?
I'll tell you what, we'll do it by the end of the week.
There's a page on the last page of the fan engagement strategy of all the contacts for the club, so it's there.
Right, thank you.
End of the week, guaranteed. Liam, I hope you're listening. Go on, mate.
So again, from Stuart, is you mentioned about processes there that an interview, a radio interview early on when you acquired the club, a lot of time you said was spent creating company policies, and you presented a situation where there was next to no existing structure off the field. Were you saying then that the management of the club was a bit of a chaotic mess, lacking direction?
I'll tell you what, it wasn't me saying anything, but I'll tell you this now, and I saw you guys protesting, I saw you guys doing everything possible, and I was reading, even though I wasn't on socials, I was being sent a lot of stuff over the last year or so about exactly what was going on at the club. So I think it's not a case of Rapinda saying it or the ownership saying it. I will guarantee, clearly say this in any place, court of law if you want me to, yeah, that the club over the last 3 years, it was diabolical in the previous ownership of what the ripples have been so detrimental to every aspect of the club. Yeah, I really wish we hadn't, been in a situation where the ownership really ground it to the limits. Yeah, it wasn't just that 6-week period when we thought the club was going to finish. It was systematic. I've got stuff that comes in front of me that has years now that been going on, that has been eating away at the club. Yeah, and the real culprits for me, very simple, because the ownership is where it stops. Yeah, and I'll always stick to that. Yeah, and again, like I said, not me, but you guys and the protests and everything else, clearly to the levels of, crazy levels, have proven that nothing really at the club was working. Yeah, so not Rapinda, just a reality.
Okay, and last one from Stuart, although his questions were sort of linked with other people's as well. Why have long-standing members of the club's board recently resigned, citing that the reason for this is because they felt excluded from strategy and decision making?
Again, it's public knowledge. People have resigned from the board, people resign from companies, people do lots of things when new ownerships come up. I can guarantee for myself, and I'll sit with anybody at any time, any of the previous board members, we've personally, myself as the CEO, tried everything possible to make sure that previous board members, previous staff could stay and commit to the job that's in hand. Yeah. But as new ownerships come in, strategies change, roles change. And sometimes people are not happy with that because they've had different roles. Yeah. Previously, the ownership was very, very far. It was so distant, it didn't bloody exist. Yeah. This ownership, we've been very, very hands-on. You may not have seen it, but behind the scenes in the club, we've been very, very hands-on. I'm here, let's say, 2 to 3 times a week, Saturday home games, midweek games, and I make sure if I'm not here, I'm in daily contact with every department, knowing exactly what's going on. And somebody might be thinking, that's not what I heard, but I'll tell you what, that's the reality of what the truth is. Yeah? And the reason being, it's not because I'm a great guy, it's because so much money has gone in from the ownership and there's so much relying on making this a success, we dare not take our eye off the ball. Yeah? People that have left, be it ex-directors, be it staff, I think you need to speak to them. Yeah? Because I'm not going to be saying, oh, this, and this. I know one thing, we have tried everything possible to keep the continuity of the club going. I think you probably remember when the previous ownership, showed even more true colours, and then the board were about to resign, and then he sacked them all, or I don't know what happened. Either they resigned, and then he was going to sack them, and it was a case of if we didn't want board members on that were previously on the board, why would we reinstate them and get them back on when we first came in? Doesn't make any sense to me. It's very easy. Most companies, when you go in there, I've seen it at corporate level, they will go in and bring in a new board. People do change. But in reality, we didn't do that because, I keep reiterating this, the hands-on effect of the experience of people that had been at Morecambe Football Club for such a long time, doing a great job. Why would we not want them on board? But I will say again, as a disclaimer, the way we operate the club, the way we want to make sure the 200 grand a month doesn't get higher but instead gets lower, things have to change. There's a reality check. The business isn't doing what the business needs to do. Yeah? And the business, if it's not doing it and it's not reaching out to a wider community and it's only operating on a match day basis, listen, my ethos, especially as the CEO, was totally different. I want to take this to every household in Morecambe. I want to fill out the ground. It's not just talk. We will work out ways on how we do it. But what I'm not going to do is let things be secluded and just be run because this is how we've always run them. Yeah. When people leave, if they're not happy with the situation, they leave. And that's their prerogative. So I think that's best left there.
Okay, we're actually going to the last couple now, which is got quite through the second half quite quickly. Richard Allen asks, and we've probably again we've covered it maybe a little bit. You've mentioned on the podcast that all the wealth is personal wealth, not earned from businesses. Does this mean that Morecambe's directors, it's personal wealth that's funding the club?
Yeah, again, listen, it's their personal, it's their prerogative, it's their situations. I know one thing, again, the EFL, the National League, everything else with the independent football regulator now as well, we have a lot of conversations with them as well because they've got powers since the end of November. And everything now has to be adhered to irrespective of who you are, what league you're in. Yeah. So I'm not going to, Quiddy, I'm not going to sit here and talk about the personal wealth of the directors or the ownership. I know one thing, and I hope we can get a little inkling from this. When their names weren't on the door, they parted with 1.4 million just in working capital. It was several million, I think it was nearly 3 million that they parted with just as a purchase price, which I know personally, and other people that I know close have said to me, listen, that was quite a ridiculous amount at the time. Yeah, but that had already gone before they'd actually got their name over the doors. So I don't know anybody else in the room, but I haven't got 3 million sitting at home somewhere. So at the end of the day, the money is there. It has been checked through all the regulators, the independent regulators there now. They are determined and committed as an ownership to take the club where the club needs to be. And they're happy to, listen, they can talk about it. We can all talk about it, can have a point of view. That's what, healthy debate is about. But at the end of the day, come the 25th of the month, 26th of the month, they're the ones footing the bill.
I'm sorry, but irrespective of finances spent, it was only the other week that there was a person within this club was linked to a terrorist organisation, financially linked to a terrorist organisation. So it's quite a valid question. Irrespective of how much money is spent,
yeah,
where does it come from?
I'll answer that, my friend. I'll answer that, my friend. So what's your name, sorry?
Chris.
Chris. Okay, Chris, nice to meet you, mate. Listen, it wasn't a week ago. It was about 5-6 weeks ago. I spoke to the independent football regulator because the thing came out, and literally I had an hour on the phone on a video call with Nick Holm, who's at the independent football regulator, and I literally, we told him exactly what we knew. The next 48 hours, they asked for a lot of financial information, yeah, just to make sure that anything to do with that individual was not linked to the finances of the ownership. That was 5 weeks ago, yeah. They've come back since and said, Ravinder, you know what, they've written that to us as well, that everything, you know what, we're happy with this. I actually had a conversation with today about something else, yeah. So, Chris, I appreciate that. I'm not saying the question's not valid. Sorry, my friend, if it came across like that. In reality, the question is valid, but like I said, the relevant authorities, previously the EFL, then the National League, but now the regulator, I'll tell you this from my dealings with, they're very switched on, yeah? And they're looking for work because they're a new organisation. And they're very hands-on with Morecambe because of the things that came out at that time. But at the same time, we've made sure we fulfilled every aspect of what they needed, yeah? We can't do any more.
Thanks, Chris. So a couple more. One is from Jamie Wassell. Just wanted to point out that Carlisle Fan Zone was great. Any news on our fan zone?
I was going to ask you, Quiddy, to be honest. Listen, we've been working on this fan zone idea for at least 6 to 7 weeks. And unfortunately, we haven't got too much closer. The holidays came in the way. There's been a lot of other sort of situations with staff and everything that we've been doing. But the fan zone is something that we want ASAP because, you know, again, to me, the ethos is, it's not just the money. The money will be brilliant because it will bring in the money to help the club. But more importantly, it's about the interaction of fans on match day. It's about the interaction of trying to bring in more members of the community, the Morecambe wider community into the ground and getting them to experience, you know, not everybody's into football, but I still want them into the ground and they might be into the social aspects of the fan zone. So it is in process and hopefully it's not too far away. The quicker, there's two things in my head now that need to happen very quickly. One's the fan zone and one is really a little bit of TLC and refit on this place. Yeah, because it's long overdue. So unfortunately, just like a bit of DIY at home and all the rest of it, things get left. It hasn't gone away. It will come. I've never been to Carlisle, but I've heard that the fan zone's amazing, and they've really done a great job with it. Yeah, and I think that's what we want to do. You know, financially, the club can be in such a better place if things like the fan zone and other areas around the stadium, if we can make them more accessible to the fans and to the wider community. People pay money. People want to come to the club. We are now trying our best to make that as open and accessible as possible. Yeah.
I'm going to end on a question from Anthony Davis. I'm going to reword it a little bit. And I'm going to just ask how we can, to the audience here tonight and those watching on the film tomorrow, what would you like to say to assure everybody that Morecambe Football Club is now in the right hands?
Yeah, I think I said it when we first came in. I myself personally would not got involved if I didn't think these were the right people. Yeah, and I wouldn't have put my time and effort and energy into this project for the last 18, 19 months. I wouldn't be here today, especially after last night's result. Yeah, I wouldn't be here today. But I passionately believe that Morecambe Football Club is in the right hands. I passionately believe that I have the commitment and the passion and the knowledge to try to make sure that every objective that I personally and other ownership members have put out, mainly myself, being put on the spot, yeah, and I will make sure that I will strive to get to those targets and those objectives. There's hurdles everywhere. There's knockbacks, you know, the landscape changes. It doesn't mean we give up, yeah? It doesn't mean that I start doubting that the ownership, you know, are the wrong people or the club's not the right club or anything like that. We roll our sleeves up, we get our hands dirty, we've been here before, we do it in every aspect of life. I'm more than determined to turn this around, you know, on and off the pitch. I see a lot of potential on the pitch, I see a lot of potential off the pitch, but it's going to take time and it's going to mean people, do you know what? It's going to mean people getting on side and doing the best they can to try to, I don't know, bear with it, help out where they can, you know, try to sort of, you know, add to it, like I said, to give the ideas. It can't be just, you know, let's just do this and it'll be great. This is a longer term plan. We're going through the worst of it simply because we're still in the shock period of the fact that the club nearly went down. Yeah. And I'll say this, look, the staff here are amazing. And I really mean this. I know the staff, get to know them really well. 4 months that I've been here. Now, I also know that the period in that summer of what they went through, a lot of the characteristics, there's been a lot of trauma, yeah, which just having your wages paid doesn't get rid of. Just having you know, your job safety doesn't get rid of, because, you know, it affects you in your characteristics. And I'm very weary of that, and I make sure that I try my best, and I get this up to the ownership as well, to make sure that, you know what, we don't alienate anybody, yeah? Because the staff, like I said, they're very genuine, very hardworking. They believe, you know, they wholeheartedly believe in the vision, yeah? And if people don't believe in the vision, I've always said to them, you don't believe in it, you know where I am, tell me how to make it better. You know, we're not arrogant or egotistical in a sense, well, it's my way or no way. It's the best way that we can get Morecambe Football Club to where we are. Yes, I have access to a lot more things that the fans and the staff don't always have access to, you know, because I'm there looking at everything. But I will say the project is something that will bear fruit. The ownership are the right people. The right people, the best way I can describe it is they're not the most football inclined people. I've said that from day one. That's the reason I'm here. Yeah. I know myself, I live and die football. I breathe it every second. Yeah. And to me, it's a case of I'm not good enough to be on that pitch. If I've got access to be able to get a club and take it to where we want to take it, I've grabbed it with both hands. And I'll carry on doing that. And I'll carry on pushing the ownership. I'll carry on pushing the staff. I'll carry on, you know, trying to roll it out to the fans and say, listen, guys, believe in it. We will get there. Sometimes, look, Twilly, I'll say it and I'll say it publicly. I'm looked at as crazy in the sense that, do you know what? How's that going to happen? That's not possible. But look, I'll be honest with you, when we were 6 weeks in that period of June till August, I was getting 20 million people saying to me, give up on this. This is bullshit. He's not selling it. You're not getting there. There's no way to cross the line. But we collectively proved it. It is possible. I believe it was in the stars. I believe it's luck in the universe, whatever you want to call it. But the reality is we got there. And if we could get there in that situation, because it was direr than dire, we all know, yeah? If we could overcome that collectively, I still think we can overcome the hurdles, like on the pitch, off the pitch, that are in front of us. So to answer the question in a long-winded way, my friend, I believe everybody that's here at the moment, the staff, the ownership, everyone, myself, we are the right people to try our best to take the club where it needs to go.
Great stuff. Thank you. Now, we've got 15 or so minutes left, 10 minutes or so now. Thank you for all your questions. Lots of questions. But I know that they come from a place of love, because I know nearly all the people in this room, and I know how much, like you and me, love this football club, and we just want the best for it. So thank you for all your questions. Thank you for Tony and Rupinder for coming and answering them. I think we could put a couple out to the floor if anyone's got anything that we didn't really cover tonight. But thank you so much from me as well for asking those questions. Neil.
Derek. I think there's a general feeling that we appointed a manager who had no experience. That inexperience is now proving to be point. But there's also a feeling, possibly a rumour, that the only reason he's with us is because his family are involved in financing the club when the club was purchased.
Okay, shall I answer that? Sorry.
Yes, please.
Neil, nice to meet you, mate.
Yeah.
Listen, Ash's family has got nothing to do with the Running and Morecambe Football Club. They've never parted with a penny. You know, I don't know how anybody can prove that, but I'll tell you straight now. I was the first person that met Ash back in April last year. It was because we'd seen the CV and we'd looked, you know, it's through an agent, yeah, and it was through a recommendation that I've used previously. We trusted him, and it was a case of, look, you know what, this is a possibility. He wasn't the only person. There was at least 4 guys, if I remember correctly, where and I've got it on my WhatsApps, you know, I had continuous conversations with. Met up with 2 of them, but the other guys, they were abroad, we had continuous conversations with, yeah? Some of these guys were, like I said, you know, slightly different CVs to Ash, some were very similar to Ash, but we believed in the project. We had a couple of sit-downs with Derek as well, who was the manager at the time, myself, Kolji, a couple of the other team, and listen, it wasn't something, it's like anything. When we first came to the club, even before we got the keys, it was a case of, okay, what can we keep going at? What can be continued? What needs to be changed? What can be worked on? What can be tweaked? Like it is in every aspect of coming into a business. With Ash in particular, first of all, listen, he's not related to any of us. His family are not related to any of us. There's never been any fine. I've met his dad once at a home game here. His mum and dad, they're in Leicester. Very rarely you'll even see him at a game. Yeah? So it's got nothing to do with family connections or financial, you know, money coming in from his family whatsoever. He was picked on his credentials. He was picked on the fact that we really believed that he has the capacity to take the club in our vision where we want to take it.
Yeah, but he appears to be totally out of his depth. I think that's the general feeling
Yeah.
within the club at the moment. And if someone feels as though they're out of their depth, you've got to do something about it.
Yeah,
Because this club could disappear
Yeah.
quite easily.
I agree. I
unless
agree.
Something is done radically and quickly.
And all I can say to that, Neil, all I can say to that, my friend, is very simple. We are on that 24/7 because, like I said, every 4 weeks, somebody in the ownership is putting in 200 grand to put into this. Now they haven't got it doesn't matter how much money people have. Nobody wants to burn 200 grand a month and just to say, well, no, we can see it going down here, but we're not going to do anything about it. Yeah, I said it right at the beginning of today. In football, things evolve all the time. There's no certainty in football whatsoever. Yeah, the reality is simple. We look to the problems and we try to address them with the best solutions that we possibly can. Yeah, what we can't do is, we all know, I saw Arsenal draw Liverpool 0-0 the other week, 10 days ago, I don't know when it was. I was breaking the TV screen because I was thinking, what the hell's going on? We're supposed to be killing them. But the reality is, and I made a bit of noise on my little sort of, systems with the fans and everything else, the ownership, nothing really changed. But the fact of the matter is, at that moment in time, I'm seeing that and thinking, this is not good enough. Yeah, you've got to, look, we've got to see this as everything is being looked at continuously. Nobody's being picked because of family or friendship or links or whatsoever. People are being picked because we think they're the right people for the job. We could have had an amazing time on the pitch by now, and we would have all been singing the praises of whoever had done this and whoever had done that. In reality, that hasn't happened. For whatever reason, it hasn't happened. And when things don't happen the way we want them to happen on the football pitch, obviously we have to then look at the person and think, okay, is he capable? Are the staff around him capable? Are the players the right players? What are we going to do to change it? Rest assured, we are looking at that, and it's evolving on a daily basis.
Got time for one more? The gentleman at the back there.
Yeah, just on that, seeing that we're talking about Ash, has there ever been any discussion about him changing the style of football? If you're going to keep Ash, is he going to change the style of his football? Because for me, personally, the style isn't working in this league.
Yeah, appreciate the question, my friend. Again, I'm regularly on conversations with Ash, Patrick, sometimes the players as well, yeah, and the coaches that are with Ash as well. And again, look, the discussions always go around not just the system or the actual, the players or how we're doing or what team we're playing. It goes around how are we best equipped to get the best result in the next game, yeah. So it's an ongoing conversation. As in every walk of life, nobody has, if you put somebody in a place as a respected professional and they're there and they're more than capable of doing that job because they've got the credentials to do that job, then I'm not saying the decision lies with them, but their point of view and the discussion has to be including them as well. So yes, to answer the question, we're regularly always on the phone, always sitting with Ash, sitting with Patrick. Like I said, I've sat with the players many times as well to see how can we get the results that we need. So it is an ongoing process.
Chris, have you got one more?
Yeah, you mentioned about the owners pumping in 200k a month, but we probably have the biggest playing squad in the league, and half of them we don't even see. Like, we've got a centre forward who hasn't played a game all season.
Yeah.
The lad who scored the first goal in the first game.
Yeah, Dan.
We've never seen him. He went out on loan. We didn't find out he went out on loan until the day after he played his first game for that club. Where's he at?
He failed at that loan as well. I know the manager. He didn't do well at all. I can tell you that for me.
What about the rest of them though?
I think I need to pass the mic over to this man. But look, in reality, common sense. In reality, my friend, listen, we have a lot of players. We have a lot of players. But I've signed every contract. I've seen every loan document. What you guys don't see, unfortunately, we haven't spent the money that everybody thinks we've spent. So there's a lot that you think, people say to me, you've got 30 players. You must have the craziest budget in the world. Listen, if you're forking out 200 grand a month, the last thing the ownership say to me is, Rupinder, what do you want to do with the budget? Do you want to increase it? Go on, mate, go. Let's do it again. They're saying to me every second of every hour of every day, Why have we got such? Why are we paying out so much? And what can we do to tweak it? What can we do to change it? Because sorry to say, guys, the money side of it, they front it, and it's paining. Not the fact. I'll tell you why it's paining. Because the same money really needs to be put into the facilities, the TLC on this, the fan zone, something that can be more productive of bringing in people and finance to the club. So even though we've got a lot of players, yeah, it's a case of, listen, there were 2 tranches. I'll quickly touch on this as well, just to give you a little bit more. We had 5 days to put out a team. We had 5 players. And you know what? They were amazing guys because they stuck with the club and they've been really, really amazing professionals, all 5 of them, yeah? But in reality, we didn't have the access to get the others. We did everything possible. I remember Rob being the general manager at the time, even rightly so said, listen, we can't even say we can guarantee health and safety because the club's being closed. And the players have not had no pre-season, they've not trained or nothing. If we get people in just to make the numbers, they could be bloody injuries, yeah? We pulled out 11 people. We had to grab anybody who can. Adele, who's the club secretary, was working 24/7 on a Sunday, shipping them out to me to make sure we can sign them so they're registered so they can turn up for the game. It happened. Then 2, 3, 4 weeks later, we had a few more different results. We saw a bit more of a reality. We actually had, and again, I'll share it with you, but you know, these are the things that maybe, but I don't think we should have been, or you know, at that time sharing them. We then had a lot of bigger teams, Premier League teams like Arsenal, approaching and commenting on the style of play, what the coaching staff and the manager were doing with the players, that they saw the kind of football, the identity that we're trying to put out there. And then we were getting access to even better players. And that's when Maldini came in, other players came in. So it was a case of, because we got players last minute and then we had a second tranche of them, we never wanted to hit 30 players. The ideal was 24, 25 max, yeah? And we wanted to make sure that because of the financial constraints, we stayed well within the budgets. But we had to be realistic. The other problem we had was, because we had to get players last minute, a lot of the ones were out of town. So we then had relocation costs for them. So we'll have to put them up somewhere or to give them the money to do this. That added to the cost as well. So we've took it on the chin, but believe me, we're always looking, Chris, on how to, and we will be doing it now as well, how to sell players, how to, you know, end loans, how to make sure they're off the wage, because there's all the money, yeah? And a couple of guys we've had to do that with. They wanted to renew till the end of the season, and we flatly said no. Because we didn't think they brought what we thought they were going to bring to the team.
So who was that then?
I don't want to be sitting here saying it, Chris, because look, you know what? They're individual players. They're playing at other teams, yeah? But I think you're the fans. You see what I see, and it's quite obvious when somebody comes in, there's big expectations, and it falls a little bit flat.
No, so the reason why I asked is because them players, we've not heard anything about them. We don't know if they're still here, whether they're different clubs, whether they've been released. We don't know.
But, okay, what we do, again, with the media team, right, Chris, is, again, we have to pace out because we've got to make sure that everything has gone through and the other clubs have signed off for everything before we notify the the fans or the community out there of who's here and who's gone. Yeah. And what I will do, taking back from what you just said, mate, because I'm not on socials, I'm not going to lie. Yeah. What I would do is I'll make sure that we step that up. Yeah. We make sure that you, as a fan base and the community, know who's at the ground, who's on the book still, who's been sort of sidelined off to another team on loan, who's been cut from contract, who's been renewed. Again, look, with the Emerson thing, it's ironic, isn't it? Yesterday, before the game, we announced it. Last night, something kicks off. Today, we find out it's totally different. We will get those kind of things happening to us, yeah? But our side should be that we should be open and say to you guys, this is the score at the moment, yeah, the state of play. Obviously, if things change, we'll keep updating it. So, listen, and again, I'm here to listen to you guys, yeah? I will make sure that that is addressed from the football side down to the media team. Wherever the fault is, we'll rectify it, and we'll make sure ASAP, next 48 hours, we're up to date on every player situation.
We can confirm that straight away by telling us what's happening about the goalkeeping situation then.
It's ongoing, my friend. It really is. Do you want me to lie to you? I don't lie, so I don't want to be misleading you. The thing is, look, again, the goalkeeper situation, I think we, in the second tranche or third tranche, when we got Jamal Blackman, I think it was amazing, yeah? Because I think he's added a lot to the team. You know, I think he's given a lot of presence there, and I think if we can, we are going out on every ounce we can to make sure we not only have him till the end of the season, yeah, but more importantly, we sign him up for another year or two, because we want to start building, yeah. So, but what I'm saying, Neil, is I don't want to commit to that just here. The talks are very, very close. I can tell you that much, yeah. But again, once they are done and they are finalised, we'll make sure that I think as a whole, not the goalkeeper, as a whole, we need to make sure that the fan base and the community, via the socials, through the website, are up to date with exactly what the player situations are. What your point of view of it is, that's your point of view. But our job should be to make sure you're updated as and when.
Can we extend back to the board as well? Because until you said it earlier, I didn't know that the general manager had left or the head of finance.
Yeah.
So
It's been quite public, my friend, but look, I'll be honest with you.
it's not been official.
The general manager and the head of finance. Okay, well, Oliver only left on Friday. So as a football club, as a football club, just like any business, I don't know. I mean, should we be, Liam, the head chef, left? Should we be reiterating to every fan out there that this vacancy's come, or that person's left?
Thank him for what he's done and put that out publicly. That'd be nice.
Good idea. And I think that's what we do.
Well, that's alarming that I'm saying that. You're saying good idea now. We should have thought of this when he resigned. What's going on? I'm sorry, Rupinder.
No, you don't need to apologise to me, my friend. You listen. At the end of the day, the simple thing is nobody's perfect, including me. What we can do is, all I can say to you is, we, especially myself, was focused on a lot more bigger things than who had gone and who had come in.
Well, it's still
right?
nice, though.
It's nice.
Lad sat back there who's done a damn good job throughout the year.
Who's that? Sorry.
Martin. He did a damn
Fantastic,
good job.
Mike. I think you need to stand up and get a round of applause, mate. No? I didn't know you was coming, mate. Martin's not here. Okay. I think you're seeing things. But listen, the thing is, I'll say one thing, Michael. What's your name, brother? Sorry. Michael. Listen, Michael. I'll say this for you. Listen, I'll say this. I personally make sure that anybody who's been here and left, I personally thank them all the time. Yeah? Because I know what value they brought to it. But I also know, and you don't, Michael, sorry to say this, I also know what the situation of the club is and how things have been going and whatever. And I don't want to get into personals with this man did this and that man did this. I've said it in one, I've capped it. In the last 3 years, the previous ownership, how the club has had to be run is diabolical. Yeah? So people leaving, if we really need to make sure that everybody gets a thank you and a pat on the back and an acknowledgement that they were here, we'll start doing it. I think we did it previously. I think why I said it was public information, my friend, was because I think 4 or 5 weeks ago, a lot of this was doing the rounds everywhere. Yeah, I think when the directors left, I think a lot of it was doing the rounds that that's happened, this happened, that's happened, that's happened. So many things happen at Morecambe Football Club. Sometimes I find out after you. But I will say this, a lot of people say a lot of things about the club that unfortunately not true. They're not true. But I can't stop people saying it. They're on social media. They can say exactly what they want. I had somebody the other day say to me, I've heard such and such has been spending so much money in each section. What are you going to do about that? I thought to myself, first of all, the first thing I'm going to do is find out who told you. It's a business. It's an entity. It's like any business out there. You guys might have business, I don't know. In the business you work or where you work with your employer, there's rules and regs and laws to put out there to see what is actually being put out there. It can't be everything is, let's light a fire here, this happened, that happened. I'm not going to pretend to spend all my day putting out all the little fires. What I do know, my friend, is there's a job to be done here. We're doing our best to do the job. I'll take on your point, you're definitely on board, that any changes with the club at board level, senior management level, will make sure that it's put out to the community. Yeah? Then we're covered. You know, whatever whatever reasons and stuff like that, we don't need to go into. We'll make sure everybody is aware. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, Robin, I think it's a good place to finish again. So it's thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you for all your questions. 60 odd questions there in the end, plus what we did afterwards. Thank you,
No
Rupinder.
problem. If I can just quickly, Connie, just
Of course,
one little thank you from me, and this is heartfelt. Seriously, I know because I'm a football fan. Any question thrown at me, whatever wording, whatever bluntness or whatever, right, thrown at the ownership. Listen, we know it comes from the bottom of your hearts. We know it comes from the right place. We know, I know, I've stood with you. I know what Morecambe Football Club means to you. Yeah. All I can say is, I'm always available. Like I said, my bloody mobile's everywhere. Yeah, you might as well have it as well. Yeah. The reality is, ring me, drop me a text. I will reply. I'm in the office when I'm in the days that I'm in. If you can, come and see me. If you've got an issue, or you've got a problem, or you've got a point of view about the club, one thing I'll guarantee is I'll be the man to make the time that I can listen to it. Yeah. So again, thank you very much for tonight. Appreciate it.